technology and maintenance management, a well-known management professional with 30 years of projects and operation experience in process plants and utilities and global platform. Proficient in greenfield project execution with expertise in international safety standards, quality improvement and execution expert. Handles project management right from the concept development, pre-planning to commission. Idea generating and bring in futuristic technology-oriented operations and processes for operational efficiencies. Team leader, organizer, and manage diversified global groups while working in major MNCs. Constructed and commissioned around 24 industrial gases plants, both ASU and cylinder filling plants, across Asia and Europe, as well as captive power plant. Now represents Lifeguard Technologies as National Technical Sales Advisor and Managing Director at Specialty and Calibration Gases Private Limited and Director Project at EMC Private Limited. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a huge round of applause.
Respected Chief Guest, IGA and GA office bearers, members, and visitors. Very good afternoon. And this session, I want to be a little bit more interactive because after a graveyard shift and not much charge, very charged with very different coffee and chai. So I will definitely pose some questions, and when I can answer the speak, and you also have to ask questions. I'm certainly starting with the question. What are the issues you face in filling courses, especially oxygen?
Wait. Sir, just a moment, I'll put on the mic.
Looks like you don't have any problem with the filling hoses. Please tell me yes or no. Okay, I don't know. Some of you may not be from high pressure gases filling plant, but the weakest link in cylinder filling operation is flexible hose. Similarly, the weakest link in liquid transfer is your transfer hose. And the rest of the things are pipeline, solid, clamped, tested periodic basis. Therefore, let me take you through some evolution, what has been happening in cylinder filling, especially related to connections. Copper pigtails. How many of you still using copper pigtail? No? Still using copper pigtail. Okay. Except one advantage, and you can read out all the disadvantages. It's difficult to terms of flexibility, frequent leakage. When I was a plant manager, every Monday we used to take out all the pigtails, anneal it, and put it back. And end connections usually gets worn up. It will be brace, and it is difficult to connect and disconnect every time because of its solid nature. So the filler has to put a lot of pressure on it with his hammer to connect to the cylinder wall. And certainly it is very difficult for palletized filling. That's why for palletized filling, people started using PTFE core, SS braided flexible hoses. The life cycle is long, easy to use, especially in palletized operation. But there are concerns of decomposition, especially in medical oxygen use. And for some of the gases, we thought instead of PTFE, SS metallic core hose, we can use it. It is slightly not all that flexible like PTFE and limited life cycle and certainly not easy to use in palletized filling operation. And when you start using it for hydrogen in helium, due to micro-cracking, diffusion of air takes place and you end up in some moisture, high moisture. What is the disadvantage? I have put a big picture. Are you able to see anything wrong in that hose connection? Nothing? You can see the external cable is almost like trying to or get caught and a mix in the wall. So when you have an external hose, when you fill in 15 12 cylinders or 15 cylinders, you have 15 external hoses which can go and entangle with the cylinders, valves, or the valve guards. So it's very difficult for palletized operation. And we require a lot of human interference. The filler has to push one hose by one hand and try to fit it by the other hand. So we lose productivity. Yeah. See, we get bored with using the same type of hoses. So we started putting ornament over the hose to increase the life cycle of the hose. But when you put some more casing on the hose, the SS braided hose, it becomes more stiffer. And you can't see whether the hose is leaking or not. So these are some of the common causes for the failure of hoses: fatigue, overpressure, abuse, linear operation wear between the inner core hose and the external SS braiding, environment conditions, corrosive, and manufacturing defect. And certainly, there's always a chance of oxygen emission. That's the reason carbon nickel is better, because it can conduct heat. So some of the heat which comes from the cylinder due to adiabatic compression get dissipated in copper pictate. Whereas when you use PTFE core or metallic cores, the heat gets transferred to the PTFE and the PTFE can melt on a long run or continuous base of operation. And from the morning, I was trying to look for one thing, the fire triangle. It did not come through. I just was expecting one of them definitely will touch about fire triangle. What is a fire triangle? The three things are required for a fire to occur. Yes or no? Yeah? On top of it, let it be oxygen. Okay, this being the oxygen seminar, let oxygen be on top of it. So other two elements required are certainly a combustible metal or fuel, right? And third one is source of heat. In an enriched oxygen condition, we don't require a combustible metal or something to support fire. Just oxygen and heat is sufficient. And oxygen itself will burn. Similarly, other gases like hydrogen and acetylene. So we are using certain gases, so the triangle doesn't get completed. So the design has to be so rigid. We need to think about the design. There should not be higher velocity, there should not be overheat in the system, or if at all there is a heat. Like as now, we are migrating from 150 bar to 200 bar, 200 bar to 230 bar, 230 bar to 300 bar. So we are trying to pump in more molecules in the same water volume of the cylinder, right? So suddenly it's going to be more adiabatic compression and more heat, and the heat is going to get transferred to the hoses. Yes, we have found a solution. We could introduce another solid piece called it as a heat dissipator. So developments being happening. So let's see what is there in the next slide. Okay. Next stage of development is having a passive safety system. When I was working in one of the MNCs, the CEO of the company told me, where does maximum oxygen fire takes place? We said during cylinder filling termination. Then he said, don't stop it. I mean, that's a tough task, In the morning also we heard that you should have zero incident. So how is possible? It's a tough target, but we all have to work towards that. So we need to think how to make our design more robust and passive. So that's why our company, our company founder is 92 years plus. About 20 years back, he found a passive safety system for high pressure filling hoses as well as for cryogenic hoses. It's easy to use. I will get back to next slide and I'll tell you why it's so easy and customer user friendly. Woodland Cryogenics is a US company. They were in gas business for the last 70 years. I'd like to cover that in subsequent slides. So let me go through the developments in the cylinder filling hoses. 70s, till 70s, for more than 100 years, maybe right from the Industrial Revolution, we have been using copper pigtail. Then the late 80s, when most of the companies moved towards palletized filling, they felt PTFE flexible hose is the best hose for the cylinder filling. So most of the companies started using PTFE hose or metallic hose. In the 90s, a lot of improvements based on the experience. We started having end loops so that when the hose breaks, it doesn't hit the operator or a technician. And we put an external wire, and we also started putting armor casing and other, like in India, I see people putting a black hose on top of the SS bearing so that any SS bearing will not hurt the operator. So in 2000, a self-closing live ground hoses has been invented successfully, and a lot of companies in both US and Europe are using this. Let me explain what is live ground self-closing hoses. See, it looks very simple, but it requires a lot of engineering and some skills to assemble and manufacture. For example, the hose length is say 1 meter. The internal cable, which is border, is slightly longer than 1 meter. So it pushes two plungers on both the sides away from the closing port. So in a normal condition, gas flows from one side to other side without any restriction. Of course, there's a slight flow restriction because of the internal component like hose and the plungers. If there is a damage due to crimping failure or hose separation or a puncture on the hose, the wire starts coming out. So as the wire can come out, it pulls both the plunger and stops the leakage. The gas doesn't flow on both the sides. So we are very safe. Only the gas in the hose space gets released. But from the pipeline as well as from the cylinder, there won't be any gas coming out. Same principle applies here for the cryogenic hoses. And I'm not covering up cryogenic hoses in this session. And you can visit our website, thesafesthose.com. You will have about 6 videos. We can see all the different types of hoses application in CO2 and cryogenic as well as for high pressure filling. Yeah. Okay, I will forward to you, or you can just write down www.thesafesthose.com. Go to YouTube, you click this link, you will get about 6 different videos. Okay, let me show one video here itself. It's high pressure hoses. Just one hose is the intercooler. That's lifelong thing, designers. That's our facility at Bethlehem in US. We manufacture all types of hoses there. That's lifelong hose. This is the normal hose which we use. And if you have toxic gases or corrosive gases, yes, you find more safer hose than this, just good buy it. Let me go back to my presentation. So it's just a snapshot. You all have got my company product brochure. We can manufacture hose for all gases, wide range of pressure, and 1/4 inch, half inch, and 1.5 inch, 2 inch for cryogenic applications. It's globally patented. Nobody can copy this design, and it periodically gets reviewed, and we have to submit some cycle tests reports and other material reports to maintain this patent. So next few slides, I'm just going to run through some of the comments from our customers. It's all available on publicly. I'm not going to do any commercial activity here. It's available in the website and the gas magazines. And managing the gas which leaks, it's under high pressure, suddenly it can expand, and if it's liquid, it can be corrosive, it can be cold, or it can be hot. So our aim should have a pre-connection hose, we should not leak. If it leaks, it should stop immediately. Cost. You have seen a lot of presentation right in the morning. When it comes to safety, it has a lot of cost. If you want to reduce risk and you want to increase benefit, you have to spend a little bit more. So cost is always a deciding factor for any new product, or if you want to enhance your plant safety. So a simple example is like nano to auto, auto to RTs, or RTs to RE. So which one is called the best safety? You pay more money, you can drive in RE with 6 airbags, right? Do you think our hoses should be expensive? Yes, it is manufactured in US or Europe, and if you import to India, it will be expensive. but now we have set up a facility in Faridabad. It is fully operational, and we completely assemble the holes right from the crimping, do all the testing, required cleaning, especially oxygen cleaning, the standard set by the multinationals, and test it, and we dispatch it, and we also stock at Faridabad. So it can be quite affordable price and quite economical. Yeah, we have branches in US. I said headquarters in US. So we manufacture these hoses in US, Europe, and Sweden, and in India at Faridabad, and we also have sales office in Canada, Australia, and Middle East. Thank you. That's all from me. I'm open to take few questions.
As I said, we have our speaker writer. We can always take 3 to 4 questions. Is there anyone who wishes to ask any? Yes.
Yeah.
My question is that you have told us if oxygen is there and if excessive heat is there, there will be a burst. So if we are filling the oxygen cylinders, what should be the nominal flow rate for compressing oxygen in the cylinder that it should not be heat?
See, anything you try to compress, you get it. Simple thing is, our childhood days, we used to take a pump and pump air to the cycle, bicycle. At the end of it, you try to take the pump and throw it. At the bottom, it's always hot, right?
Yeah,
So any compression you do is adiabatic compression. The adiabatic compression will result in heat. So we are trying to, what we are trying in a compression, filling a cylinder, we are trying to pack more molecules in the cylinder. So as you pack more and more molecules, the heat will be more.
Actually, my question is that if I am compressing the gas at, like that you said, 10 meter cube per hour in a cylinder, but if it is lesser heat, but if I am just compressing at 100 meter cube per hour in a single cylinder, that will be excessive heat.
I agree to your point. I can slow down my filling process, but I will take 24 hours to fill maybe 10 cylinders. Right? So in a quickest process time, I will fill more cylinders. So initially we started when you do cryogenic, initially in the oxygen plants, we had 40 cubic meter per hour compressors, 60 cubic meter per hour compressors, 100 cubic meter per hour compressors. When it came to cylinder filling through reciprocating pump, we started with 200 cubic meter, 300 cubic meter, 400 cubic meter, 600, now 1000 cubic meter per hour. So we want to fill faster and we want to deliver more cylinders.
But we want the safety also, means how much excessive heat is acceptable to fill the oxygen.
That's why we measure the cylinder temperature. The cylinder body temperature is made in high volume cylinder filling plants. We measure the cylinder temperature, wall temperature, and if it's more than 65 degrees, the filling operation stops.
So we should use a thermal
The temperature gauge on the cylinder, and it will have tipping arrangement.
automatic system.
Okay. Another method is we can do a little bit of cold injection to keep the temperature below 50 degrees Celsius.
Anybody else? Is there anyone else for a question? No? All right. Yes.
Probably we discussed this in the past. Well, the technology which your houses are using is indeed a bonus when it comes to using, replacing your existing copper metallic connections or hoses which don't have a safety cable. For toxic, inert, and in fact expensive gases, you see, gases like helium, which we can't afford to be venting after a hose lab. My question pertains to oxygen. When we talk about oxygen gas, we are always very conscious on choosing material and designing our equipment in such a way that we avoid impingement sites, the lesser number of frictional areas, But for oxygen, you are introducing two check valves here, which can be the cause of an adiabatic compression, number one. Number two, if in the probability
Right.
event of a hose snap. So my simpler question is, are your hoses approved for use with high pressure oxygen?
Yes, it has been approved up to 300 bar pressure, and as you know, these hose design goes through the testing authorities like CTE and BAN. So CTE has approved these hoses for 300 bar oxygen free. And coming to the compatibility of metal, these valves are made up of brass, so it will take away the heat. Added to it, the wire which we use, it's modern. So that will also dissipate heat. And I heard somewhere in one of the places there was an accident. That is, our partner who left us sometime in the late 90s, he started using SS cable inside this design and had a couple of incidents. So right from the beginning, we have been using modern, and all the other metals are fine. For example, brass, and as high pressure at 300 bar, we use modern air fittings, so that it's much more safe. Like high pressure, high corrosion, we have to go for modern. Even SS is good enough to 200 bar, 230 bar, but we are 230